What is up, everybody? Mad Coyote's here, and I've got something different for you today on this Who Gives a Rat's Ass Thursday. And honestly, who does give a rat's ass? Because what I want to talk about today is, a lot of people might not know this, is Olympic wrestling is being cut out of the Olympics after 2016. So in the Summer Games of 2020, there will be no more wrestling. And I didn't actually know this. I've done a little bit of research on it. The Olympics have actually, for wrestling, has over 23 million viewers, and 29 countries have won medals in the competition, which is more than how many competed in some of the other games. There's like 24 countries competed in some of the other games. Wrestling is actually a huge part of the Olympics worldwide, and they want to eliminate it from the 25 core sports that they have going in the Olympics right now. Another crazy thing is you're taking Olympic wrestling out of the Olympics, so it's just amateur wrestling or whatever you want to call it. It's a huge sport, and not just in America, worldwide. It's a huge sport, and it's the oldest sport, and one of the first sports that was made for the Olympics. It's been dated back to 23 BC is when Greek-style wrestling was created. It's found on Egyptian tablets, it's found on Greek, it's found in Japan. In Japan, in 23 BC, it was introduced as the sumo style of wrestling. And it's a huge thing to me that all these things would be going, just like don't worry about it, get rid of it, and that they're going to introduce like golf into the Olympics. It's ridiculous. I mean, I understand that I've got some WWE 13 going on for this video, and this isn't the wrestling I'm talking about, but a lot of these people are super great athletes, and this is where they came from. If you look at Brock Lesnar, he's a UFC champion, and he had a lot of downfalls with sickness and everything else for when he left, but a lot of his moves and everything comes from his wrestling background. The same thing, you have Kurt Angle. He was an amazing wrestler. He's been a great pro wrestler for many years. For people who follow wrestling, they know this. He's a great showsman. He loves to be a heel, babyface. It's just overall, he's just a great guy. And even though he plays such a good asshole, he's still great. Right now, he is fighting to keep the keep wrestling in the Olympics. He won a gold medal after he pretty much had a broken neck. He had suffered a severe neck injury, fractured 2 of his cervical vertebrae, herniated 2 discs, and pulling 4 muscles when he was training to be in the 1996 Olympics. Nonetheless, Angle won the trials and then spent 5 months resting and rehabilitating to be ready for the Olympics. Going into there, he was on a little bit of pain medication, and he still won a gold medal. It was by decision with a hard-fought match, but he won. And this is a crazy guy, just is passionate for his sport and everything else. That he was originally going to be in the last Olympics. He was trying out for that too. 8-hour-a-day workout sessions. He was going to be the oldest in the Olympics, and he had a bad injury, and at his age he wasn't able to do it, which sucks because I was totally ready to watch the Olympics with him. And yes, I mean, it was mainly for him. I don't really watch the Olympics as it is, but to take away something key like that, I don't understand how you can take away one of the original sports. And a lot of people say it's because of the violence that it shows, and a lot of people just portray it to the video that I have on right now. This is wrestling, and this needs to be out of the Olympics. How can we be showing this worldwide and praising people who are hurting other people? What a lot of people don't realize is it's completely different. And a lot of people are so arrogant and hard-headed that they won't see the difference between sports entertainment and wrestling. And you know, some people make fun of it, but it is such a hard sport. And a lot of people who praise the UFC, you need to realize that wrestling is a huge background for a lot of these people, especially some of the older Americans, that this is their first things with ground game. Brock Lesnar, his ground game came from wrestling. His holds, you know, the chokeholds, different things like that. I mean, and we have toned down wrestling so much from the Greek era, it is insane. There is so many things that are illegal that you cannot do that you did back in the day, where knees to the head, there's, you know, you have forearms to the jugular, things you cannot do in the UFC whatsoever. It's crazy. I mean, we have made the sport a lot more friendly, if it's, I guess, the only real word I could use for it. When the Olympics really started, the modern day Olympics in 1896, this was a core sport. And there is pretty much like a background voting system for the Olympics, where these people vote in private, and a lot of people hadn't been pushing the issue because they figured wrestling was safe, that they didn't have to worry about wrestling being voted out of the Olympics because it was such a key sport. And it was, because they have these secretive polls, and there's a lot of people trying to change that, where you can have a more open polling system, and they want to know what's going on with the Olympics. The world needs to get more involved in what they want to see in their sports. I mean, people want to watch shot put. I mean, I don't want to watch shot put. Like Summer Olympics, the first thing I think of is wrestling. There's wrestling and there's swimming, which Michael Phelps has already taken over all of the swimming Olympic awards. So, you know, nobody's bored of that, and it's fine. It's safe. You know, people can't drown or anything, right? No, it's the same in any way, shape, or form, but they're showing it as violence, and any sport can be shown as violent in the wrong context. When they've said, a few people have said it, that there's so many key things to the wrestling, and it brings countries together. I mean, of course there's a small amount of violence, but I don't see it as violence. I see it as competitive. You know, everybody's competitive, and everybody gets angry when they lose, or, you know, they get bitter when they lose. But overall, people grow from it, they get over it, and what are you going to do if you're not trying to win? If you lose and you're not bitter about it, you didn't care that much to win. Because if I'm going in there to win, I'm going in there to win. And if I lose, it's gonna break my heart. And he's, like I said, Kurt Angle was training for over 8 hours a day, every day, to get back into his physical weight. You're talking about a guy who is still doing pro wrestling, and who is still in really good shape, especially for his age, working out 8 hours a day to get in shape. That's how in shape the wrestlers are. He was trying to get his weight class, getting toned down, and getting back to wrestling shape. The amount of work that he had shown to get in there that's what other people are doing. You're talking about high school kids and college kids who are training for this to go to the Olympics. And, you know, if they get to the 2016, they might get to do that. But if they don't, you know, some kids that are younger, there's kids 7 years old out there that are amazing at this sport. And they're not going to be old enough in 8 years to be in the Olympics. You know, in 2020, if there still won't be old enough, and it's going to be gone. And there's going to be a lot of people that you're not realizing what they have until it's gone. It's just crazy. I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay. This is the first time I've played a wrestling game in a very long time, but I'm a Stone Cold fan from when I was a kid. So I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay in the video. If you're new, definitely subscribe. If you got comments, leave them below. I'll comment back. So, like always, you stay classy, YouTube.